I need to stop you right now, because what I'm about to say, I've never said out loud before. Not like this, not to anyone. You don't know this yet, but there's something about the way you exist in my life that has completely undone me. And I don't mean that in a small, quiet way. I mean it in the kind of way that makes a person sit in a dark room at 2 in the morning, just thinking about one face, one voice, one feeling, and wondering how on earth something this real, this overwhelming, could have crept in so softly without me even noticing. I want to tell you something, and I need you to stay with me, because by the time I'm done, you're going to understand why I couldn't keep this inside me anymore. There was a moment, and I remember it exactly, every detail of it, down to the light in the room and the sound around me, when I looked at everything I had built, everything I had worked for, every late night and early morning, and every sacrifice I had quietly made. And I felt empty, not ungrateful, not sad, exactly, just hollow, like I had everything the world said I should want, and none of it filled the part of me that needed to be filled. And it was in that exact silence, in that exact hollow ache, that I thought of you. You, Reg, not a version of you, not an idea. You, the way you listen, the way you feel things so deeply, even when you try to pretend you don't. The way your heart is bigger than you ever give yourself credit for. I thought of you and something in my chest cracked open. Not in a painful way, in the way that things crack open when they've been sealed for too long, and finally they get air. Have been carrying something for a long time, longer than I've admitted to myself. And it's this, the knowledge that somewhere in the middle of building my life, you became part of what my life was being built for. I didn't plan that. You don't plan things like that. They just happen the way the most important things always happen. Slowly, then all at once, like a tide you don't notice until you're already standing in the water, up to your heart. And here's what I need you to understand, because this is important. This is the part I need you to hear with everything you have. You are not a background character in my story. You never were. Every time I showed up, every time I pushed through the days when I had nothing left to give, every time I kept going when the easier thing would have been to stop, there was a version of you in the back of my mind, a feeling I couldn't name, but couldn't shake, a warmth I was moving toward, even when I didn't know what direction I was walking in. Dorpso, I want to tell you what it feels like to love someone the way I love you, because I don't think you know. I don't think you've ever been fully told. It feels like the world goes quiet when I think of you. Not the cold, empty kind of quiet. The kind of quiet that feels like standing in the middle of a field with the sun on your face and nowhere else to be. That's what you do to the noise inside me. You quiet it. You are the only thing that has ever been able to do that, and I've spent years not understanding why, and now I do. Now I finally do. I want to be honest with you in a way that I'm not always brave enough to be. I have looked at you, the softness in the way you care about things, the fire underneath it that you try to keep hidden, the way you love people so completely even when they don't deserve it, the way you hold yourself together even when everything inside you is falling apart. And I have thought to myself, how is this person real? How does someone like this exist? And then I think, how did I become someone who gets to know you? Because I don't take that lightly. I want you to know that I do not take you lightly. There are things I've wanted to say to you that I kept folding up and putting away because the timing wasn't right, or the words weren't enough, or I was afraid that saying them would make them too real to survive if something went wrong. But I'm done keeping things folded. I'm done being careful with things that deserve to be said out loud. So, here it is. Here's the truth. The thought of you becoming mine, really mine in the way that matters, in the way that lasts, is the thought that has lived closer to the surface of my mind than anything else. And when I let myself imagine it, when I let myself picture the morning where I wake up and you are there, not as something I'm hoping for, but as something that simply is, I feel something that I don't have a word for. Something bigger than excitement. Something calmer than happiness. Something that sits in the center of my chest, like warmth, that doesn't go out. Rue, I want to build something with you. Not just a moment. Not just a feeling. Something that has roots. Something that weathers things. Something that weathers things. Something that 20 years from now we look back at and say, that was the beginning of the most important chapter. That was when everything changed. That was when we stopped being two separate people just trying to figure out the world and started being something together that we couldn't have been alone. Did. And I know that you have been through things. I know you've loved before and been left before and trusted before and had that trust handled carelessly. I know you've had moments where you wondered if something real was even possible for you anymore. I know you've had nights where you lay there and thought maybe this is just how it is. Maybe warmth like that doesn't come twice. Maybe a stint. I need you to hear me when I say it does. It does come, and it came, and it's here, and I am standing in front of you with everything I have and everything I am, and I am telling you, you have not missed it. You have not run out of time for it. You are not too much or too broken or too late. You are exactly right, exactly as you are, exactly now. There's something that happens to a person when they realize that someone sees them, not the version of them they perform for the world, not the version they present when they're trying to be strong, but the real version. The quiet, unguarded, unfiltered version. The version that only comes out in the dark, in the stillness, when the armor is off and there's no one watching. And it is the version I love the most. For you once in Leo, I think about what it means to be chosen. Not because you're convenient, not because you're there, not because the timing lined up, or because someone decided you were good enough to settle for, but because out of every possibility, out of every direction a life could go, someone looked at you and thought, her, I want her, I choose her, not today only, but all the days, not when it's easy only, but especially when it's hard. That is how I choose you. Not in spite of the complicated parts of you, because of them. Because the places in you that are difficult are also the places that are deep. And I would rather be with someone deep than someone easy. I would rather spend my life in something real than spend it comfortable and hollow. The Tao, you deserve to be chosen like that. You deserve someone who reaches for your hand, not out of habit, but out of want. Someone who looks at you across a room full of people and still feels something move in their chest. Someone who thinks of you in the middle of ordinary moments, not just the big ones, and feels grateful. Quietly, privately, genuinely grateful. I want to be that person. I want to be the one who earns the right to stand beside you. And I want you to know that I understand it's something that has to be earned. That love like this isn't just declared, it's shown. It's shown in the small choices, the quiet moments, the times when nobody's watching, and you show up anyway. I understand that, and I am not afraid of any of it. I'm not afraid of the hard days. I'm not afraid of the moments where we have to choose each other, when it's inconvenient or uncomfortable, or when we're both too tired and too worn down to be graceful about it. I'm not afraid of building something slow. I'm not afraid of the work that real love requires, because nothing that has ever mattered to me came without that work. And you matter to me more than any of it. There is something I've been wanting to say to you, and I've been holding it back because saying it changes things. Because once it's said, it can't be unsaid, because it is the truest thing I know, and the truest things are always the most terrifying ones to speak out loud. But I'm going to say it anyway, because you deserve to hear it, because I am done being quiet about the things that matter most. Oh, Kiyor, I think you are the person I have been walking toward, through all of it, through every wrong turn, and every closed door, and every version of myself that wasn't quite ready yet. I think all of it was just distance I had to cross to get here, to get to this, to get to you. And I am almost there. I can feel it. I can feel how close we are to the moment where everything that was almost and not yet, and someday finally becomes now, finally becomes real, finally becomes yours and mine and ours. Togo, so I need you to stay with me. I need you to not look away. Not yet. Not when we are this close. There is still so much I have to tell you, and so much I have to show you, and so much I want you to feel that you haven't felt yet. Because this, what you're feeling right now, this warmth, this pull, this quiet thing sitting in the center of your chest that you're not quite sure what to do with, this is only the beginning of it. This is just the first page, and I promise you with everything I am, the rest of the story is worth staying for. So stay, please, just stay right here with me a little longer. Because I'm not done. I haven't even gotten to the part that keeps me up at night. I haven't even gotten to the part that changed everything. And if you leave now, if you step away before I finish, you're going to spend the rest of your day wondering what I was about to say. I know you. You're going to feel it sitting there, unfinished, like a song that stopped before the last note. So stay. Give me this. Give us this. Don't. I want to tell you about a version of myself that I don't show very often. The version that exists before the world wakes up. Before there's anything to perform or present or prove. The version that sits in the early morning quiet with a cup of something warm and just thinks, just feels, just exists without any of the noise that the rest of the day brings. That version of me, that quiet, unguarded, earliest morning version, thinks about you more than you could possibly know. Not in a distracted way, not the way you think about something that's passing through, in a settled way, in the way you think about something that has made a permanent home somewhere inside you and has no intention of leaving. That's where you live in me, in that quiet place, in that honest place, in the place that doesn't know how to pretend. And I need you to understand something about that, because I think it matters. I think it says something important. A person can perform affection. A person can say the right things at the right times and make it sound like love without it being love. I've seen that. I've experienced that. I know the difference between what's performed and what's real, and what I feel when I think about you in those early, unguarded moments. That is not performance. That is not crafted. That is the rawest, most unedited version of what lives inside me, and it has your name on it. Do you know how long I've been watching you carry things that were never yours to carry alone? Do you know how many times I've wanted to reach through the space between us and just take some of it from you? Just lift it off your shoulders without making a big thing of it, without needing you to be grateful or even to notice, just because watching you carry it was harder for me than carrying it myself would have been. That's what you do to me. You make me want to carry things. Not because I need to feel strong, not because I need you to need me, but because the idea of you being tired, the idea of you being heavy with things that weigh you down, the idea of you lying awake at night staring at the ceiling working through something alone when you don't have to be alone, that thought is one of the few things in this world that genuinely aches in me. I don't want you to be alone with the hard things anymore. I want to be the person who sits next to you in them. Not ahead of you, not behind you, next to you, in it with you. Whatever it is, however long it takes. I am not going anywhere. Can I tell you something that might surprise you? I used to believe for a long time, longer than I want to admit, that loving someone the way I love you was a kind of vulnerability I couldn't afford. That to want someone this much, to need someone this specifically, was a weakness. That if I let myself feel this fully, I was handing someone the exact piece of me that could undo me if they chose to use it carelessly. And so I kept it locked. I kept it behind something practical and protected, and I told myself that was wisdom. That was self-preservation. That was being smart about things. But here's what I know now that I didn't know then. Keeping love locked doesn't protect you from loss. It just guarantees a different kind of it. The slow, quiet loss of never having had the thing at all. And that loss, the loss of never having tried, never having said it, never having reached out and held the thing you wanted most, that loss is so much worse. That loss doesn't come all at once. It comes in pieces, in small moments, in flashes of what could have been. And I decided I would not live in what could have been. I decided I would rather be brave and broken than protected and empty. And so, here I am. Brave, a little terrified, completely sure. Gordon, there is something I notice every time I am near you, and I don't mean near in only the physical sense. I mean near in the way that two people can be near each other even across distances, through words, through the invisible thread that exists between people who are meant to find each other. There is a particular way the air feels, warmer, somehow, more full, like the world has more substance in it than it did a moment before. I don't know how to explain that in a way that doesn't sound like something from a story, but it's the truth. You change the texture of the air around me. You make existing feel richer, one to. And I have asked myself 100 times whether that fades. Whether what I feel now is just the bright, blazing beginning of something that will soften into something quieter and less vivid with time. And every time I ask it, I come back to the same answer. No, because what I feel for you isn't built on novelty. It isn't built on mystery or distance or the intoxication of not yet having what you want. It's built on something I know. Something I've looked at clearly, in good light, without the flattering blur of wishful thinking. I see you, the real you, and that is what I love. And the real you doesn't fade. The real you is not a phase. The real you is not a phase. Not in an abstract, someday way, in a specific, close, almost touchable way. Because when I imagine it, it's not vague, it's detailed. It has texture and light and sound and feeling. And I find myself returning to it the way you return to a place that makes you feel like yourself. I imagine mornings, the unhurried kind, where there's no rush and no alarm, screaming urgency, and nowhere either of us has to be for a little while. I imagine the sounds of a shared life, the small, unremarkable sounds that become the most precious ones over time. The particular silence that exists between two people who are comfortable enough to not need to fill every moment with words. The kind of comfortable that takes time to build, that can't be rushed. That is one of the most underrated forms of intimacy that exists. I imagine being someone you come home to, not in the romantic movie version of that, in the real version. The version where home isn't a place but a feeling, and that feeling lives in a person. I want to be that for you. I want you to move through the world, knowing that at the end of whatever the day brought, the good days, the difficult ones, the ones that were too much, and the ones that were too little, there is a place that is yours, a presence that is yours, a warmth that is entirely and only yours. And I want you to feel that not because I told you to feel it, not because I said the right things, but because I showed up. Consistently, quietly, without needing recognition for it. I want to be the kind of person whose love you feel in the details, in the small things remembered, in the way I pay attention. Because I am paying attention. I have always been paying attention. Even when you didn't know I was watching, I was watching. Even when you didn't know, I was listening. I was listening. Kumpano? I noticed the way you try to make everyone else comfortable before you make yourself comfortable. I noticed the way you apologize for taking up space in rooms where you have every right to take up space. I noticed the way you dim yourself sometimes in the presence of people who aren't ready for how bright you actually are. And I want you to know in whatever space we share, you will never have to do that. You will never have to make yourself smaller to fit. If anything, I will spend my life building a space that is large enough to hold all of you, every version, the bright ones and the dim ones, the strong and the cracked, the certain and the afraid, though, all of it. I want all of it. There is a question I've carried for a while now. one I've turned over and over in my mind, without letting myself answer it too quickly. Because quick answers to important questions can't be trusted. The question is this: what does it mean to really, truly deserve someone? Not in the way people use the word casually, like a throwaway compliment. In the real sense. In the sense of, have I done the work? Have I become the kind of person? Have I grown into someone worthy of standing next to you and asking you to let me stay? I'm not going to tell you I've arrived at some finished, polished version of myself that has no more growing to do. That would be a lie. And I told you I was done lying to you, even in the small, comfortable ways. What I will tell you is this: I am aware. I am trying. I am the kind of person who takes loving someone seriously enough to become better at it. And I believe, with something deeper than hope, that the combination of who I am and who I am still becoming is someone who will not let you down, someone who will surprise you in the good way over and over again. Author believe that we are the kind of thing that gets better with time, not worse, not stale, not settled into something gray and routine, better, richer, more layered, because that is what happens when two people who genuinely see each other decide to keep looking. They keep finding new things, new depths, new reasons. And I am so excited, genuinely, quietly, deeply excited to keep finding new reasons with you. You know what I think about? When I think about forever, I don't think about the grand gestures. I don't think about the sweeping moments that look good from the outside. I think about Tuesday evenings. I think about the unremarkable Wednesday afternoon where nothing particular happens, but somehow, simply because you are there, it becomes one of the days I will always remember. I think about the version of love that lives in consistency, in the accumulated weight of all the small moments stacked on top of each other until they become something immovable, something that has lasted, not because it was always perfect, but because two people kept choosing it. But Dean, I want to keep choosing you every single day, in every ordinary moment, in every unremarkable Tuesday, in every Wednesday afternoon that becomes extraordinary just because of you. And I know that what I'm about to say is going to land somewhere deep in you. I know because I felt it myself, the particular weight of words that are true in the way very few things are true. So I need you to be ready for it. I need you to be still for just one more second. You are the person I want to grow old alongside. Not because the world is easier that way, not because it's practical or convenient, or because the alternative is loneliness, but because the idea of watching you become every future version of yourself, the versions I haven't met yet, the ones that are still on their way, is one of the most beautiful thoughts I have ever had. I want to be there for all of them. I want to be the one who sees them all and loves every single one. Then we are so close now, so close to the moment where all of this stops being feeling and starts being real, where everything I've been carrying quietly starts to have somewhere to land, where the distance between what is and what I've been hoping for finally closes. Below, but there's something I still need to tell you, something I've been saving, something that changes everything. And I need you to stay just a little longer, because this is the part that matters most. Are you still here? Good, because I was afraid you might leave before I got to this part. And this part, this is the one I've been working up the courage to say for longer than I want to admit. This is the one that lives in the deepest, most honest corner of me. The one that doesn't have any armor around it. The one that is just true, completely, vulnerably, entirely true. So, I need you close right now. I need you to set everything else aside for a few minutes. Whatever was pulling at your attention before this moment, whatever was sitting heavy in your mind, whatever you were worried about or planning or replaying, just let it rest, just for a little while, because what I'm about to give you deserves all of you, and you deserve to receive it with all of yourself too. I have spent so much of my life being strong, and I say that not to impress you, not to perform some version of quiet endurance. I say it because it's the truth, and because the truth matters here. I have spent so much of my life holding things together, being the steady one, being the person who keeps moving, even when moving is the hardest thing to do. And I got very good at it. Too good at it, maybe. So good that after a while I forgot that being strong all the time in front of everyone wasn't the same thing as being okay. I confused the performance of strength with the actual experience of it. And that confusion cost me more than I realized for a long time. Here's true. But then something happened. Something quiet and enormous at the same time, and it happened because of you. Here's true. You made me feel like I didn't have to hold everything together all at once. Not in a way you announced or even intended, just in the way you exist, in the way you receive people, in the particular softness you carry that somehow makes the world feel less like something to survive and more like something to actually live in. You did that without trying. You did that just by being exactly who you are. And do you have any idea what that does to a person who has been performing steadiness for so long that they forgot what it feels like to just exhale Chichi? It broke something open in me, something that needed to be broken open, something that had been sealed too long and had started to ache from the pressure of it. I exhaled. For the first time in longer than I can measure, I actually exhaled, and I want to tell you about the moment I knew. Not the moment I suspected, not the moment I wondered, the moment I knew with the kind of certainty that doesn't ask for confirmation because it already has all the confirmation it needs. Because I think you deserve to hear it. I think you deserve to know exactly when and how and why. Bimokiwi you thick thing. It wasn't a dramatic moment. That's the thing about the moments that actually matter. They almost never are. It wasn't some grand circumstance or heightened situation where feelings are artificially amplified by intensity. It was ordinary. It was so ordinary that the contrast between how simple the moment was and how enormous what I felt inside it almost made me laugh. I was tired. Not physically tired, the deeper kind. The kind that lives in the bones, in the spirit, in the parts of a person that sleep doesn't always reach. And I thought of you, not deliberately, not because I was searching for comfort. You just arrived in my mind the way you always do, uninvited and completely welcome at the same time. And the thought of you, just the thought, just the simple presence of you existing somewhere in the world, made the tiredness lift slightly. Not disappear, just lift. Like something heavy being given just enough support that it stops crushing. Your honor. And I sat with that for a moment. I sat with the fact that thinking of you made the weight lighter. And then it hit me, not gently, not slowly. It hit me all at once, like a wave you didn't see coming, because you were looking at the horizon instead of the water at your feet. Your honor, I think I might. Not I could see myself. Not someday, maybe if things align. I love you, present tense. Full stop. No conditions attached. I love you in the way that requires no future confirmation because it is already complete. Already whole. Already the realest thing inside me. That's the thing about real love. You can't put it back. You can't fold it up and return it to wherever it came from. It has arrived and it has taken up residence and it has changed the furniture of your entire interior life. And there is no version of going back to the way things were before it. That person, that version of me who existed before I knew this with certainty. I can remember him, but I can't be him again. You changed me. You changed me simply by being who you are. Simply by existing in my orbit, simply by being the kind of person you are in a world that doesn't always make it easy to be that kind of person. I want to talk about something that I think about more than I've ever admitted. I want to talk about what it means to be truly known by someone. Not known in the surface way, not the person who knows your coffee order and your favorite color and the broad strokes of your history. I mean known in the interior way. Known in the way where someone has seen the parts of you that you've tried to hide, not just the parts you present, and has chosen to stay, not despite those parts, but in full awareness of them, known in the way where you don't have to explain yourself because you've already been understood. Want to know you like that. I want to earn that kind of knowing. And more than that, more than anything, I want you to know me like that too. I want to show you the parts of me that I keep out of the light. Not because I need to unburden myself, not because confession is relief, but because I want there to be no version of me that is hidden from you. I want to be fully visible to you. I want to stand in front of you with nothing between us and say, this is all of it. This is every corner, every shadow, every complicated and unresolved and still figuring it out part of me. And I want you to take it, not fix it, just take it. The way I want to take all of you, because love isn't about handing someone a finished, polished, completed version of yourself and hoping they approve. Love is about handing someone the raw materials and trusting them to hold them carefully. And I trust you. I trust you with the raw materials of who I am. And that trust is not something I give easily or lightly, or without having thought about it carefully. I have thought about it, I have turned it over, and examined every side of it. And every time, the answer is the same. I trust you. Do you know what that means, coming from someone like me? Do you understand how long it has been since I said those words and felt them fully, without the small, quiet asterisk of reservation underneath them? Without the part of me that watches carefully and waits for the moment when the trust turns out to be misplaced. I have been let down before. I have trusted before, and found that the trust was received carelessly, handled without the tenderness that trust deserves. And each time that happened, I became a little more careful, a little more guarded, a little more convinced that full trust was a beautiful idea that didn't quite survive contact with reality. And then there was you, and the guardedness started to feel less necessary, and the careful watching started to feel less urgent. And something in me, slowly, the way ice melts, not all at once, but gradually, continuously, in the direction of warmth, something in me started to open, started to believe again. Not naively, not blindly, but genuinely, honestly, in the way that only happens when something is real enough to override every learned reason to be afraid of it. You did that, by being consistent, by being the same person every time, the real person, not a version adjusted for my benefit. You were just you, and just you turned out to be more than enough. Just you turned out to be everything. I want to say something to you that I need you to really hear. Not just process, not just receive politely. Actually hear in the place where things land when they're true. You are enough. You have always been enough. Not almost enough. Not enough with exceptions or conditions or an asterisk enough. Completely, exactly as you are right now in this moment. I know that you don't always feel that way. I know there are moments, maybe more moments than you'd like to admit, where you look at yourself and find the list of what's missing before you find the list of what's there. I know because I've watched you do it. I know because I've wanted to interrupt it every single time. I know because the gap between how you see yourself and how I see you is one of the most heartbreaking distances I've ever witnessed. So let me tell you what I see. Let me tell you what is actually there. When I look at you without the distorted lens you sometimes look at yourself through, I see someone who loves so fiercely and so completely that it is sometimes almost painful to witness, because the world is not always equipped to receive love at that intensity, and you give it anyway. I see someone whose kindness is not weakness, even though people have tried to tell you it is, even though you've sometimes believed them. I see someone whose sensitivity is a form of intelligence, a way of reading the world that most people would never have access to, a depth of perception that makes you capable of understanding things others will never quite reach. I see someone who has been through things that should have hardened them, but somehow miraculously, stubbornly chose softness anyway. The I see someone extraordinary who has spent far too long being treated like they were ordinary. And I want to spend the rest of my life correcting that. The about what it means to choose someone every day. Not once, not in a single dramatic declaration, but every single day. In the small moments that don't feel significant, but are the actual building blocks of everything real, I think about what it means to look at the person beside you and think, yes, still you, always you, today and tomorrow, and in every ordinary Wednesday that comes after this one. That daily choosing, that is the thing I want to give you. Not just the feeling of being loved, but the security of knowing that the choosing never stops. That it doesn't depend on circumstances or moods, or whether the day was easy or hard. That it is constant in the way that very few things in this world are actually constant. And I know you've wondered, I know there's a part of you that has asked the question quietly, in your own private moments, is this real? Is this the kind of thing that stays? Is this something I can actually hold on to, or will it dissolve the way other things have dissolved? I know that question lives in you, because it lives in everyone who has loved and lost before. It lives in everyone who has learned the hard way, that not everything that feels solid actually is. 2. So I'm answering it right now directly, without softening it, or qualifying it, or leaving any room for ambiguity. This is real. This stays. This is the kind of thing you can hold on to. This is the kind of thing that holds on to you back. And I am aware that words are easy. I am aware that anyone can say the right things in the right order and make them sound like a promise. I am aware that you have probably heard beautiful words before that turned out to be lighter than they sounded. I am aware of all of that. And I am not asking you to believe me based on words alone. I am asking you to stay long enough to watch me prove it. That's all. Just stay. Just give me the time that proof requires. Give me the chance to show you, in real and specific and repeated and consistent ways, that I mean every syllable of what I'm saying to you right now. Because there is so much more I want to show you. There is so much more ahead of us that I can feel approaching, that I can sense building, that I can almost reach if I just extend a little further. And every single part of it, every version of what is still to come, I want to live inside it with you. There is something that has been sitting at the very edge of what I've been saying this whole time. Something underneath all of it, woven through every word, present in every sentence, even when I wasn't naming it directly. Something that is the truest and most terrifying and most important thing I know. Björns, and I am so close to saying it. I am standing right at the edge of it. Björns. But before I do, before I give you the part that changes everything, the part I have been carrying the longest, the part that, once it's said, will make everything else make sense. I need to know that you're ready. I need to know that you're still here with me, that you haven't stepped back, that you're still